I'd like to start by asking you what you see as the benefits of a project like Nuffield STEM Futures.
Well, the first thing, it's about engaging the students, so it's brought them all together, looking at subjects that traditionally they are often disengaged from, and just raising the profile of these three subjects.
It's starting to influence our curriculum. We are moving to a model where us curriculum leaders are meeting to see where we can strengthen ties between the maths, the science and the technology, and synchronise our curricula to a certain extent so that we can maths work will complement science and will complement technologies.
Looking at the broader perspective of the kind of students you have here, what kind of learners are you hoping to generate with Nuffield STEM Futures and projects like this?
At Thomas Deacon Academy, we're trying to develop learners who can work independently, who can work creatively as well, and also see the connections between science, technology and mathematics. Our curriculum, we assess them with regards to these kind of skills as well as the knowledge of subject content, and the Futures project is absolutely ideal for developing those kind of skills.
And do you see that as being important also in terms of the students looking forward to potential sort of vocations and their careers? Do you think that's important?
Absolutely. The world's a different place. We're competing on a global scale with people like with India, for example, who really have seen that. They see the future already, and we've got to get ourselves up to speed. So Futures is absolutely ideal for developing those kind of thoughts and ways of thinking this early on in their education.
One of the areas that we're really trying to develop is engineering. Particularly trying to get more girls interested in engineering, and also students who normally wouldn't pick it as a subject because they either see it's out of their reach or it's not something that they particularly understand. So it's also helping us from a point of view of what students select for options as well, because whereas they might not have thought about engineering or certain science subjects, they're actually sort of thinking about it a little bit more now.
And Chris, from a mathematics point of view, do you see the kind of contextualising of mathematics in a project like this as being useful in giving students a bigger perspective of what they might be able to do with mathematics?
Yeah, you get a lot of students who enjoy their maths, but at the end of the day they're just becoming quite one-dimensional and just being quite good with numbers and using those numbers in formulas. But to use it in a context has been invaluable. Maths is always going to be there. Historically, it's thousands of years old, but the ways that it's used, in sort of the 21st century is changing, and that's what we're getting them to think about, how they can use maths in a positive way.
And Kevin, for you, the idea of engaging students thinking with closed-loop systems within a circular economy, do you find these kind of lessons from nature, the idea that nature sort of recycles and brings things back, do you find that as a useful way in for students to think more optimistically about the future? Certainly.
I think when students realise that nature has already solved some of the problems, the challenges that we're creating for ourselves, the solutions are there to be seen, it gives them hope. At the end of the day, this is presented as Futures, the solutions to challenges rather than these are the problems we're facing. So apart from the obvious connection, it helps us to teach about the carbon cycle, for example, which is lovely, the whole closed loop system. But the fact that the STEM Futures is all about solutions rather than problems, that's where the emphasis is. That keeps them upbeat, and they've really thrown themselves into it. I'm interested to know whether your teaching team and the students really see this approach to sustainability as fundamentally different from education for sustainable development, which we've had historically, moving away from an idea that we reduce and recycle. Do your students see this as fundamentally different to that, the idea of closed systems? Certainly the staff have, and the more able students. I think we'll have to have a bit more follow-up work to see exactly what they have gained from that. But certainly it promotes much deeper thinking regarding the solutions for the future. It's not just, as you say, okay, we've got some paper, well let's pulp it and make it into some more paper, and downgrading all the time. It's really thinking from the very beginnings, how can we make our systems more like nature? I think it really has the potential to change the way that this generation of children actually think about sustainability. It's not just recycling and reducing, as you say, but it really is about changing the way they think and design things. And do you think, Claire, that it could fundamentally change the way that you engage students with design briefs in whatever age and whatever task?
Oh yes, definitely, because traditionally, it's all we always, you know, we do a design and make project, whether that's at Key Stage 3 right through to Key Stage 4 and 5. But obviously now at the start of the projects, already we're bringing into it, you know, talking about this cradle to cradle. What's going to happen to your product, the product that you design? Where will it be once you finish with it? What is going to happen to it? You know, what's going to happen to the materials? It's not just a case of, you know, we don't want them just thinking about, well, they can just put it into a recycling bin. It's actually getting them to their actual design process right back at the initial idea stage. It's changing all of that.
Chris, there's opportunities in mathematics also to look at nature in a kind of mathematical way and see some of the dynamism in nature and use that as a way to engage students with issues to do with sustainability.
Yeah, certainly. You know, following on from this project, we're already thinking of ways that we can use maths in other ideas, and you know, the maths in nature, maths as the language of science, if you like. It's all going to make maths to students who are a bit disaffected with it. That they might see more relevance to the subject, and you know, it is a core subject, and they're going to be doing it up to age 16. So if we can make it more, you know, useful to them and more interesting, so much the better. Yeah.
Nuffield STEM Futures. What next, Claire?
I think from certainly from design tech's point of view, what we'd like to see now is us going a little bit more in depth, you know, pushing the students just that little bit more. So they're actually, you know, again, we're questioning them and questioning, you know, when they're talking about recycling something, as we've already mentioned, how exactly is it, you know, where will it go, you know, what's going to happen to it. So actually getting them to look at the technical side.
I think as an academy, we need to now think about how we can adapt the future's materials to our particular local situations and also the subjects as well. I think we can bring ICT in and look at life cycles of computers, for example, is an idea that I had with a colleague just a couple of days ago. So I can only see it getting better and just getting more and more attuned to the particular type of students we have at this academy.